Welcome to the IELTS Speaking test. In this first part of the test, I would like to get to know you better, so I'll be asking you some questions about yourself. First of all, let's talk about cakes. Do you like eating cakes?
Of course, I'm a big fan of cakes. I believe cakes are really delicious, and because I have a sweet tooth, so I would always want to have a piece of cake every now and then.
Do you know how to bake a cake?
Well, personally, I really love baking cakes, but because I don't have the enough equipment for that, so I would always try to watch YouTube videos on how to make a cakes. So if possible in the future, if I have the enough equipment, I would probably bake the cakes for myself.
What are some of the special cakes in your country?
Well, speaking of cakes in Vietnam, we have a variety of cakes. For example, we have chuyên cake for Tet holiday, or moon cake for Mid-Autumn Festival. Each cake represents a special occasion in our country, so I would highly recommend you try out those cakes if you have a chance to visit Vietnam, because it's a sort of speciality of our culture.
Now let's talk about fish. Why do people go fishing?
Well, I think fishing is a very interesting activity because go fishing helps people relax and kind of like slow down from the fast-paced life, and it's also a good way to teach people patience, because it is not always easy to catch a fish at your first attempt. You have to usually wait for a long time, so it's a very good practice to learn how to be patient.
Do you like eating fish?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of meat, and because of it, fish is not an exception as well. I love all kinds of fish, but I usually like them when they're boneless. You know, like when the bones are removed from the meat, so that you can eat it without any difficulty. And my favorite one would be salmon, because of the texture of the meat. It's quite similar to that of beef, so I can really enjoy it without any difficulty.
Where can you see fish?
Well, I think there are a lot of places you can see fish. For example, you can see it in the fish market, where they're usually killed, but also in the aquarium is also a good place to see fish, because the aquarium is like a large collection of rare fish, so you can see a lot of types and species of fish that you may have never heard of or have never seen in real life.
Now let's move on to talk about concentration. When do you need to concentrate the most?
When it comes to tests, I usually need as much focus as possible to pass the test with flying colors. Because of it, I usually have a schedule of cramping and studying for a long period of time so that I can do the test with effectiveness.
What might distract you when you're trying to stay focused?
I would probably say it will be noise, because my ears are pretty sensitive to the changes in the environment, so any sudden noise will distract me immediately. For example, the sound that you hear at the construction site usually are very disturbing and can cause you a distraction. So I would like to, because of that, I always want to study in somewhere quiet.
Is it difficult for you to stay focused on something?
To me, there are a lot of factors that can affect my study. So, such as the background noise. Because of that, I always want to find a place that is quiet, so that I can be fully focused on my study.
All right, let's move on to part 2 of the test. Your topic is describe a trip you made by public transportation.
Well, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of public transport, but if I have to name one, I would say it was back when I was in middle school. After having a break from the final contest for student majoring in English, my friends decided to have a city tour so that we can relax and kind of like chill after a long period of time. We decided to choose the bus as our main transportation, mainly because we had a low budget because we were students at that time, and it was more convenient to travel by bus because it had many stops, so we can visit many tourist attractions one by one. So we pay a visit to many tourist attractions in Ho Chi Minh City, such as the Notre Dame Church, Bitexco Financial Tower, the Turtle Lake. We truly had a blast, and the help of buses really made our trip more convenient because we have many opportunity to interact with people on the bus, and we could also ask for direction for places that we don't know. So in overall, I think it was a great choice for us to use the bus for our city trip, and the trip really broadened my horizons about attractions in Ho Chi Minh City.
So you have just talked about public transportation. In this part of the test, I'll be asking you more general questions related to public transportation. So, in what ways can we fix traffic problems?
I think there are many solutions that we can tackle this problem. The first of all, I would say, is to raise the awareness of local commuters, because our traffic is made of people commuting around the city. So it's important for us to help people to become a more polite and civilized traffic participants. And another solution is that we can improve the infrastructure of the road and of the city as well. For example, I would suggest people using the AI technology to help improve the monitoring of the traffic situation, so that we can have a better view of what the problem is, and we can find a good solution to that.
Is it fair to limit the use of cars?
Personally, I think it's not a good idea to limit car usage, because a lot of households have cars nowadays. So if you limit using car, so a lot of people cannot travel together as a family because a motorcycle cannot fit all of them. And the second reason is that if we just limit car usage because it contributes to traffic congestion, it would be disadvantageous for car user, because in Vietnam, motorbikes are the biggest contributor to traffic congestion. So if we limit using car, why don't we might as well do the same thing to motorcycles?
Should governments encourage people to use public transport?
I think it's highly recommended that government advocate using public transport, because nowadays a lot of people are owning motorbikes and cars, so which means that there are a lot of vehicles traveling on the road, especially in the rush hour, which can cause a major traffic problem. So using public transport such as buses or trains can help reduce the volume of cars and motorcycles traveling outside, and which can save more space.
What is the most popular means of transportation in your country?
Well, in my opinion, motorcycles are the biggest transportation in our country. They are mostly favored because of its convenience and of its low price, and especially with a low level income of Vietnam, many people only can afford a motorcycle. So because of that, Yeah, I think it well explains the popularity of motorcycles in Vietnam.
Do you prefer public or private transportation, and why?
To my mind, I would say I favor using private transport, mainly because of the convenience, and you can travel wherever you want and whenever you want, and you actually don't have to depend on others. Especially when you travel on a bus, there are a lot of noises and a lot of distraction which can disturb you and prevents you from having a good time. So for that reason, I believe using traveling on my own is more beneficial than using public transport.
Thank you. That's the end of the test.